Welcome to Sticking to the Truth with Julene Jackson and Debbie Jansen. We are so glad you have joined us today. Now, the Democratic Socialist Communist of America Party, that's a lot of words, is doing a victory lap. They claim that they are not only going to win in November, they are going to take over America in 2028 and continue remaking America through 2030 and beyond. Now, their arrogance is so big that they even decided to post their agenda for America online. Their plan is to dismantle America so they can give power back to the people, or that's what they say. Well, there is no chance they will help people or give them power. Their plans will take all freedoms and power away from the people. Now, about that time when I was reading some of that stuff, my blood pressure went so high, I had to take a walk, Julene. While I was kicking rocks and my face was turning purple, I realized that they can't accomplish anything on their agenda. We have laws and checks and balances, yet they can make a lot of noise and they can get young people riled up and ready to vote for them. And that could be dangerous. They can lie and cheat, but it will take years to produce a full takeover of our government. That does give us time to educate some young people and adult citizens on the dangers of socialism and communism. I do not believe that logical, freedom-loving people will ever allow socialism or communism to take over America. I just have hope. I have a sign up here. I have hope, and I have hope that we're going to be okay. But it will happen if we don't help. We can't be lazy or refuse to share our opinions. We must act and we must speak out against their lies immediately, today. So when that happened, I picked up my beautiful 14-year-old granddaughter, took her out to eat, and we had a talk. Her intelligence and resolve to be a good person and to love this country gave me hope and the confidence that no arrogant, ignorant, silly, socialist communist can stop a mama bear. Because I've been the grandma mama bear and my daughter's been the mama bear. And my 14-year-old granddaughter is going to be fine. Well, here's the deal. If all the mamas who know the truth about socialism and communism will bare their claws and dig in for a fight, we can win. Julene, darling, are you ready for a mama-sized fight?
Yeah. Arr!
Arr!
I love it. That grandma bear, grandmas, and mama bears. And actually, my mother-in-law is a great grandma. So there's great grandma bears, mama bears, whatever it takes to like.
There's even some daddy bears out there, right?
Yeah. We need you can't do without our daddy bears, but I just think of everything that is required of us, mama bears, in the most beautiful sense. I really don't like people calling me a bear. But it can get wearisome, right? Thinking about everything that's on our plate. But I just think of that great Queen Esther, right? She was born for a time such as this. And I like to think of myself more of a Queen Esther than a bear. But, I just know in my heart of hearts that we have been held in reserve to come to the world at this time. And God has given us every capacity to do his work. I mean, I named our last little baby, who is 18 years old now, named her after Queen Esther, her Hebrew name, Hadassah, Marie Hadassah Jackson. And she's in Chicago now. 1 week out of graduating from high school, she's serving a mission, teaching people about Jesus on the streets of Chicago. So she has always known I've been born to do great things. And I always say, kids, if we perish, if we get beat up, if we, have some failure, at least, if we're going down or we're struggling, we're going down in the name of God. And so I really like, Deb, your example, though, of self-care, of like taking walks, right? When you need to blow off some steam, or especially,
I've been doing that a lot more
yeah,
lately.
you're walking a lot. Well, the weather's been cooperating in the middle of summer. But I love that you took your little granddaughter out to lunch. I mean, these are things that we can do that make a big difference, right? Spending time with this rising generation, shoring them up and letting them know that they can do it. My husband and I, you've heard me talk about this, work in our church with young single adult congregants who are 18 to 35, aren't married, but love Jesus. So we have these congregation of young single adults. And last night, every Wednesday, they have the Institute night, kind of a scripture study downtown in Georgetown. There's kind of a gathering center, the Barlow Center down in Washington, D.C., where about 100 kids came last night. We always serve them up dinner. It was meatball subs and salads last night. And then we spent an hour in the word talking about, God's promises. And we talked about King
Yeah.
Josephat, Second Chronicles 20, how,
Yeah.
the enemies were coming for the people. He was the king of Judah. And he said in the scriptures, God makes a promise that if they will go into my house, into my presence, I will hear you and I will help you. And that beautiful scripture, look, it's not your battle. It is my battle. God is reminding them so take your problems to the Lord, right? Go to, and when I say, I thought it was interesting when God says, come into my house. I think it can actually mean like in your bedroom, at your bedside, or certainly church
Yeah.
or your temple or your place of worship. But, he said repeatedly in scripture, I am your God and you are my people, that no man is going to prevail against God. He is able and he is available. So, you arm this rising generation up with those kind of promises and that kind of word. And all of a sudden, we all seem to find the energy and the vision that, okay, yeah, we can get on that wall. And knowing that it's his battle, he just wants us to be full of faith because he's always in charge when the storms are brewing, right? So if we
Right.
remember that and just, not lose our minds and get so scared and go into hiding or get so angry, but just know this is his battle. He wants me prepared and in place and ready, but he's at the helm. And
Right.
so we have our work cut out for us, Deb, for sure.
We do. We do. And just like our Constitution says that our rights come from God, I believe that God has given parents a lot of power.
Yeah.
We have a lot of power.
Yeah.
Parents are the most powerful people in the world. What you do in your home will change America for better or for worse. Why? Because your children then go out and they impact people around them. And the more kids that are good and out there and impacting people around them, the better America is or the world. We can't believe the lies about parenting. I'll give you an example. My twins were about a year old, and I was exhausted and overworked. Um, I was on my own because Ron had a great job. He was working a 12-hour shift from 9 at night till 9 in the morning.
Ooh.
Now, he would come in absolutely exhausted because it was a very mental type job. He was in charge of 33,000 trucks moving and going across the country. So it was very mental. And he would come in, grab a bite to eat, and just look at me like this and go to bed. Well, he couldn't help me, and I was fine doing it all. It was just a really big job.
Mm.
And one day I was folding clothes, and Gloria Steinem, do you remember her? She was a feminist journalist, a
Yeah.
lot of Fruit Loops there. But anyway, was responding to a host, and she said, stay at home moms are the worst. If you're not working outside the home, you are one step away from welfare, and your children in America will suffer because of your stupidity.
Mm.
Well, I had a degree from college and I started crying. Ron walked in about that time and I ran to the door, grabbed my keys and said, I'll be back. Just hang on till I get back. And I drove to my dad's house really quick, and he was a pastor and, of course, my mentor, and I loved him. And I explained the situation, and he said that a wealthy friend of his who was very wealthy in Atlanta, Stanley Nyland, they were good friends, was looking for a woman with a psychology degree that could help train a robot another friend was making who was being built to discover the cure for cancer.
Wow.
But they wanted the robot to have empathy. Now, this was in the 80s, so this was a far-fetched thing my dad was telling me, and I was so upset I wasn't even following that it was far-fetched. He said they wanted the robot to have empathy, and a mom could teach that, especially if she had a psych degree. And if I took the job, there wouldn't be any pay because their grant didn't cover that kind of help. But there might be an occasional reward here and there. I would be vice president of life skills and could help change the world for good. I'm sitting there so upset, and I blew my nose, and I squealed, "Oh, Daddy, that would be so wonderful. I would love that. I would have an important job, and I could use my degree. Wow." And he sat real quiet for a second, and then he slammed his fist on the table, and he said, "Debbie, what do you think you're doing now? You are raising the next generation. You may be the mom of America's president. You may be the mom of another Billy Graham or an author or a doctor. Your daughter could become an astronaut and go to the moon. You have the greatest and most important and powerful job in the world." I I just couldn't believe I missed it, but he was right, and I stopped crying. We had a great time together. My dad was right. Mama bears out there, daddy bears out there, don't sit back and whine about this country. Take over and teach your children to get involved and to know the truth that they need to know in order to make a difference in their world. Am I right, Julene?
That is the funniest story. I can't wait to meet your daddy someday. I know he's up in the heavens.
He was a hoot, let me tell
I
you.
like his
Didn't get
style.
anything past him. Yeah.
Well, I like that title, President of Life Skills. We are the CEO. I've always said I'm the CEO of my home. I'm the CEO of life skills within the four walls. I really like that. But, I mean, you are so right, Debbie. Every day we have to remember it is our duty and responsibility to shore up this rising generation, to teach them, to love them, and to encourage them. Just on Tuesday, I took my little niece, who's 22 years old, just graduated from college, along with my daughter, who's 31, has a baby. I took them to brunch because my little niece just buried her mother 1 month ago
Oh.
of brain cancer. So mama died at 55. I'm her little auntie. And we had just a heart to heart, over our pancakes and skillets and whatnot. And she wept, and we all wept. And she said, "I really miss my mom." And she said, "I feel her walking next to me. I really do." And I had lost my mom when I was a young girl at 24, and so I had told her that my whole life, I'm 57 now, I have felt my mother by my side, and she said, "I really believe that. I talk to her all the time." But she said something interesting. She said, "I don't really believe in God right now." Right? And she didn't even say right now. "I don't believe in
Mm,
God because why would God take someone so wonderful, my mom, at such a young
mm.
age?" And then I reminded her, I said, "Honey, the last conversation I had with your mama about 2.5 months ago, she bore her testimony to me of the goodness of God and how he had been so good and blessed her with so many beautiful things." And I said, "Your grandma was there and she added her witness and testimony to your mama's." And I said, "That kind of faith is deep within you. This is the line of women that you come from, these believing, faithful women." And I encouraged her. I said, "Honey, even if you don't feel like it, get down on your knees and ask God for understanding and comfort and healing." And understanding might come down the road, but it's some sort of peace. And, we spent about 2 hours back and forth talking, the 3 of us, and crying, but we even laughed and we shared stories, and really after the end of the lunch, we felt or the brunch, we felt all of us buoyed up with hope for the future. And, I think that's what you're talking about, Deb, is we've got to lead these young kids in our sphere of influence to the truth. And the source of all truth is God. And He will help them just to discern their heartbreaks and their decisions and relationships, and even make sense of this crazy world, and all
Yes.
the events
Yeah.
going on. So I agree with
Yes.
that.
Exactly. And real quick before we get on with our topic today, I am so blessed because mom and dad were such a great influence on my life. And I know you have said that too. And I like to look at it this way: they may have left, they may be in heaven, but their voice is still in my head. It still guides me. And the things that they said, they made an impression on me. And, I think it makes me who I am, and that's the power of parenting.
Yeah.
If you can make sure that you have a connection with your children and that you can talk to them, um, then if you do leave, you leave your voice in their head,
Mhm.
and they will remember what you've said, and they will live a good life based on that. And so I encourage all parents, get to where you are a mentor to your child and leave your voice in their head.
I love that.
Anyway, everyone, please get the book. Is it showing, Julie?
It is. It is.
The Naked Communist by Cleon Skousen, and read it with us, okay? We have a lot to go over in this book. Last time we pointed out several
Solidarity
goals
with
that,
you.
yeah, last time we pointed out several goals the Communist Party listed in 1958, and we began to discuss their 45 goals on page 259. Well, get your book and start looking at that. But this week, before we move on with that, our listeners need to know that this week the current Democrat Socialist Party came clean and listed their goals for now. So all these people that are running on the Democrat Socialist slash Communist platform, they came clean. They told us what they're going to do from 2026 to 2030. And here's what they want to accomplish: 14 goals they want to accomplish within a few months after being elected. Once they get the power, this is what they're going to push through as fast as they can. They're going to abolish the Senate. Can you imagine? That will get rid of any checks and balances that we have in our government and give them a clear path to do the rest of it. I can't wrap my mind around that, Julene. Let me get through all these, and then I want to hear your comments because you know it all. Number 2, they want to get rid of the Supreme Court and the president. What? We would not have a duly elected president. It would be replaced with judiciaries and executives chosen by the rogue Congress. That's really scary. Then number 3, they want to defund the Department of War. Well, let's just roll over for China. Come on in and take over us. That's kind of how that would happen. Number 4, abolish ICE and give amnesty to everyone. Number 5, abolish the police and close all prisons. Well, you will not be safe anywhere when that happens. Our country will be a dumping ground for millions of the worst criminals ever, not only immigrants, but within our own country. And then it's all the extras that they believe in: free Palestine, end sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran. Number 8, here's the horrible idea. Worse idea: public ownership of corporations. Now, do you know what that means? Their government will take over all companies. And you know how the government is. They don't pay attention to budgets and money. So they will run them into the ground, and no one will have a decent job or have access to anything we need, If you own a corporation of any kind, just a little business on the internet, they will take it away from you. That is really scary. Number 9, they'll replace the two-party system with a multi-party democracy through proportional representation elections. They had a sidebar on that parliamentary. Maybe Julie can explain explain that to us. Socialists are not trying to empower the people. They are afraid of the people. They hate us and think we are too stupid to choose our own representatives or to live our own lives without government intervention. Socialist and communist fear the people's choice. That's the bottom line, and we have to understand that. Number 10, they want universal rent control. Well, you won't own your house, and you will rent, and that will cause all housing to be dumps because people won't have the money to repair them. We're in a lot of trouble with that one. 11, a 32-hour work week with no reduction in pay or benefits, which will bankrupt any company they take over. Establishment of a wealth tax. So if you have money, they're coming for it because they don't want you to have too much. And 13, passage of the Green New Deal. And 14, give all the LBGQ and whatever and trans anything they want. When you read that list, how can anyone think it's a good idea? I don't. Just the first few, and I'm out kicking rocks again. They want to destroy our way of life, and they have a plan to do it, and that plan will do it if we allow them. So mama bears and papa bears need to rise up and show those claws and rip this junk apart. What do you think, Julene?
Wow, this party. So the Democratic Socialist Party. So it's not the Democratic Party, but it's the Democratic Socialist parentheses Communist Party, right?
Right.
They're not even trying to be subtle, Deb, are they? I mean,
No.
they want an overthrow of our system of government as we have known for 250 years. So, in a way, it almost seems laughable and audacious, right? But it's really not, because these tenets, these planks or goals really that they're espousing are exactly what Karl Marx, wrote 180 years ago when he put forth the Communist Manifesto in 1847. It's really chilling, Deb, as you study Karl Marx and what his ambitions were, to see how many nations have fallen in line with achieving his manifesto, where, this Communist Manifesto with its 10 planks and 45 goals, where immorality is celebrated, where they want to rule the world by taking away people's agency or freedom, where nothing is evil, anything, based on what the situation is. Have you heard of situational ethics? You kind of go with the time and make up your own rules given the situation. And where materialism is their god, right? They call it material radicalism. And so all that kind of thinking leads to self-preservation and selfishness. And that's what Karl Marx was ultimately purporting. Now you compare that to Christianity and to the tenets that our founding fathers, established this nation, where they knew that the people had to be virtuous and good if they were going to have a government based on the voice of the people, and that and based on God's law, that they had to be a religious and a morally stable people, and elect those kind of people that would be willing to sacrifice and give selfless service for the great of the good. I mean, just think of that wonderful movie that both you and I saw, Young Washington. I mean, he was this kind of a leader, and where our founders knew that our relationship with God is what will change the person, and then the person goes out and is the change that they want to see for good in the world. That it's not materialism, it's not the quest of, a job or a car or trips or that kind of thing, and that we're to be guided by our free will, our morals, our values, our conscience, and ultimately, we're comparing Marxism to Christianity, upon which our nation was founded, that that redemption and forgiveness really are at the heart of what we as humans do, right? That God
Yeah.
has set, our creator has set boundaries for us, these commandments, but they're to make us better people, better communities, better societies and nations. So, really what we're seeing here, this socialist, Marxism, communist, whatever you want to call it, it's an evil, devilish ideology. So we've got good versus bad, Christian versus Marxism. Really, if you want to, I mean, I think it's as clear cut as that. And we have to be very precise, the way we teach it to our children, that we've got to be brilliant in discerning and not kind of hang out in that gray matter, like we want freedom, but we want the government to provide for us kind of thing. And we want, we want to be able to own our stuff, but we want equality for everyone kind of thing. And that's a kind of, what does God say about lukewarm ideas? It's offensive to him. He spits them out of his mouth. He wants us to stand
Yes.
for
Yeah.
something. And so this is how we have to teach our children, none of this kind of squishy in the muddy middle kind of thing. And we got to teach them that that's going to take some courage, right? To stand
Right.
strong and to be brave and to speak your truth. And when you feel like, you're overwhelmingly in the enemy's territory, not to hide and shrink, but to stand strong. So I signed up for Kirk Cameron's Brave series. And
Oh,
it's really cute. It's like a little mouse community living, in a community where there's bad cats,
yeah.
and the first book I got is Brave as a Lion, and it comes with posters and little games. And this is the most adorable story teaching, children what courage and bravery looks like. And so, we as mothers and grandmothers have to be on the lookout for ways that we can shore up our children for their battles ahead, because guess what, Deb? They're going to be on the front lines. And we
Yeah.
know that ultimately, as we're in the word, God is going to deliver us, but he doesn't, say, just take a break because I got you. He wants us to learn. He wants us to study. He wants us to teach these children that, that we turn to him and he can heal you. He can heal our land. He can heal our families. And that, of course, this is his battle to fight, but we don't need to be scared, but we do need to be prepared, right? And so
Right.
I just, I like what we're saying here, right? The world is teaching a lot of deception and lies, but, we got to be equally forceful. We can't cower. God has us. We have to be willing to, be a part of the solution and not the problem. But then we turn it over to God and no, he's going to prevail. So
Yeah.
don't let, the world debilitate you and think that we're all going to hell in a handbag.
I know, and that's a hard fight right now. I actually bought those books for my granddaughters when they were younger, and they're wonderful.
Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to get them for your
Yeah,
kids.
and so I get one book a month, and there's like 30 of them. So I'm just gonna, every home, I have 5 kids. Every one of my 5 kids is gonna get a series of that.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat, and they can pass it on too.
Yeah.
That's great. You brought up some wonderful points, as you always do, Jolene. We should have 2-hour programs instead of
Oh
30
no,
minutes.
that would be lethal.
Because I'm sitting here, I have struggled so hard with why the Democratic Party wants to support criminals. Why do they want criminals out there? But then some of what you said, I'm thinking, well, yeah, they have a use for them because they will take care of people that they don't like, probably like me. And I hate to go to that point. I hate to think that somebody is thinking that way. But we're going to have to continue this conversation because we are going over, and I just want to say one last thing. I've heard that some people want to discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old fashioned, out of step, and a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. I've heard people say that, and it makes me so sad. I think maybe they haven't read it, maybe they don't understand, maybe they're blinded by their anger and their uh, meanness. I don't know. I've heard people say that the Constitution and its supporters are no longer relevant to our country. Well, that made me cry because I love the Constitution and all it stands for. I love our history. When you study history in the context of what was going on at that time, it was a beautiful blooming of our nation, and I love it. And I love the Constitution and the way it protects our freedoms and helps us govern with dignity is amazing. Now, all I could hear when those people were saying that or see in my head is some ignorant, arrogant, left wing Fruit Loop wanting me to stand at attention while they attack our Constitution and make fun of the words in our Declaration of Independence. And yet, I hear those beautiful words loud and clear. We hold these truths to be self evident that all men are created equal. Thank God. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And just like our founding fathers, I know that Mama and Daddy Bears out there can accept the pledge they made at the end of the Declaration. They said, and I accept this pledge, and I'm pretty sure Julene does too. But our founding fathers said, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. God, please help us to remember those words. Julene?
Yeah. Those words, don't they just ripple through your soul? And it makes you love the founders, but it makes you want to be like a refounder of these ideals in society today. If you could be sitting right next to me in this dining room that you have had a few meals at, you will see there is a Declaration of Independence on one side and a
Oh,
Constitution
it's beautiful.
on the other. And George, I pull out George from time to time, the 4th of July, and right behind me, everyone that comes into my home is, and sits in this dining room. Actually, the whole house is full of, patriotic stuff. But George says here, that little sign, you probably can't see it, but he says, the Constitution is the guide to which I will never abandon. So when my children and my grandchildren come to grandma's house, they will have no doubt what I revere and what I uphold. And when mother knows and when grandmother knows, her children, her grandchildren, her rising generations will know. It really is, up to the mamas and the daddies of this nation to be the stabilizing influence and to instill in their children and grandchildren a love of the Constitution and these principles that these men held so closely to their heart that they were willing to give it all up, for what they felt was, an inspired document struck off by the hand of God. And so we've got this, Deb. We can do it. We are
We
on
do.
the winning side here. So let that be our clarion call this next week. It's been great to be with you, Deb.
Oh, it's been great to have you here. And you just made me, I know we're over, but today I'm just following whatever. You just made me think of a point. I don't think you can be a good patriot, a good American citizen, unless you are grateful.
Mm.
Grateful for the country that we have, grateful for the opportunities. And I guess that's why I get quiet and calm when I quote those words because they mean so much to me. And I know they do to you. I love coming to your house. It's like going to a patriotic museum. It is so wonderful. I love it. I was walking around your house. Like, oh, what is that? Oh, I like that picture. Oh, I like that quote.
Oh, and
But
some of my little trinkets and not trinkets, but beautiful inspirational art has come from you. My picture, Betsy Ross, is in the kitchen that you gave me along with the quote from Ronald Reagan. And I mean, it's true. Good girlfriends give each other things that they love.
Yes, they do. Okay, folks, I know we've gone over, but please join us next week and get the facts so you can help protect our freedoms. And get the book. Subscribe to this podcast and join us again. Send your questions to Debbie@debbiejansen.com. Please share our show with others. We need others in on this conversation. We need your help to pass the word so that all of us together can save our country. Thanks again to our wonderful producer, Ken Jansen. This is Debbie Jansen, and I'm sticking to the truth.
And I'm Julene Jackson, and we hope that you will keep sticking to the truth with us. See you next time.
Bye-bye.